Hey everyone, I'm Cappy and you're watching Beyond the Plate, but just a taste. If you'd like to hear this podcast episode in its entirety, you can do so on all major podcast platforms. As for me, I'm a chef by trade and hospitality professional. These days, I head up Rachel Ray's culinary operations and co-founded her cooking and kids charity called Yummo. 5 years ago, I had the idea to put together a podcast where we sit down with the world's culinary elite and explore their journey into the food industry and the social impact they have made in their community, how they give back, hence the name Beyond the Plate. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you listened before, we're so glad you're back. We're bringing you a little taste of our full audio episodes here and hope it inspires you to cook or, like the chefs we feature, make a difference in your community. Reminder, the entire conversation is on our podcast Beyond the Plate. On to this week's episode. Chef.
How are you, Andrew? Good to see you and to be with you today.
Likewise. Thanks for being with us. We're excited to kick off a heck of a season coming everyone's way. By the way, congrats on 11 Madison home. I was extremely excited merely minutes ago today to see that you're delivering nationwide and already put an order in.
Thank you.
and on your 100,000 meals in Queensbridge through the 11 Madison truck, which we'll talk a little bit more about. All right, Chef. I don't know if this is a personal thing. I know it is for you. I don't know why. Maybe it is for me in some way, but I keep going back to this Instagram post of yours where you're walking down the street with your arms around your daughters. And you're wearing that sweatshirt they gifted you that says "Too Big to Fail." And yeah, I want to know where they got it. But they got it in support of when you were reopening EMP during some uncertain times, as you said. And I just want to share that beginning of that caption. It says, "The last year has been a whirlwind. It has been a year of immense learning, both culinarily and academically. Stepping into this new chapter came mostly from a creative place and, of course, also the need for the world to evolve toward a plant-forward future. Our announcement hit a nerve globally. The scale of the reactions that followed, I was unprepared for." Strong. I love it. Tell me what that means to you, too big to fail.
Well, it was a really sweet gift of my daughters. And of course, in your kids' eyes, you can never fail. And that's a beautiful thing. And it is a sweater that they got at an art exhibition by Barbara Kruger. And it was really a comment, I think, on the financial system. So it wasn't about me, but in that moment, that felt really great. And it was when, since the reopening of 11 Madison Park, going fully plant-based, it's a major shift. And we definitely have received our fair share of criticism, and it was sort of my daughter's gift to me after we got one of those.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. You have to carry a lot of weight on your shoulders, as many people do in their own way, but you make these like audacious, enormous business decisions. And you've made quite a few through, probably in life in general, but EMP specifically. As you said, you weren't prepared for the reactions that followed for that recent one. What's that like for you? Like, how do you go into making a decision of that magnitude? Like, what's your process?
You're calling it a business decision, and I think that's never crosses my mind. It is actually never really driven by that. It's really driven by what's in my heart and sort of where I want to use my time on and my creativity on, and we have this amazing platform and this amazing team of some of the most talented professionals. During the pandemic, it became clear that, while a lot of the food system is really challenged and we need to find new ways, and it also became clear to me that my language is cooking and food. And during the pandemic, I used that language to give back and to cook meals for people in need. And it was so powerful and so touching. And I was so happy. I was happier than I was in a long time. And when I received all these accolades of the stars and the number ones and all of this, it was some of my least happy time professionally, because I was pulled in so many different directions and mostly away from my craft. And so during the pandemic, I was really reconnecting with the beauty of cooking and the power and what it can do. And so when we reopened, I just felt like the responsibility to use this platform and to use our gift of creating and be creative with food, to push into a new direction, and showing that some of our ideas of what luxury is or what fine dining is are quite old ideas, and you don't need to go very deep on your research to realize that things are changing dramatically and quickly. I mean, there is now meat and fish grown in laboratories. We have the fake meats of the world, and tons of money is getting poured into it. Scientists spending their lives on trying to find that, answer. And for me, I just want to add our creativity to this as well, and hopefully, if this is where we're going, let's try to make it as delicious and as magical and as beautiful as it can be. And having been doing this work now for a year and a half, and since we've been reopening, but even prior, so almost 3 years, I've been thinking about this and working with this. I can tell you that it is so liberating and so expansive and so beautiful, and cooking with vegetables is the most incredible thing, and we're not missing out really on anything. And so, I'm grateful that I had the courage to make this decision. And looking back, I'm almost shocked that I was able to do it, because our restaurant was well known for duck and lobster and foie gras and caviar, and not for vegetables. And of course, we've always worked with them, but that wasn't what we were known for. So we, on one hand, really left everything behind to go into this new chapter.
I love that perspective. So when you hit that nerve globally, I love that as much as you may not love that. I love it. What's your reaction to that? Like, how do you handle those? Well, I was going to say, how do you handle those challenges? But maybe you don't look at it as a challenge when you...
I mean, I think I was completely naive to... It wasn't such a big thing when I made the decision. It was just like, okay, the world is going that way. Maybe we need to find new ways. I believed that 11 Madison Park was in a unique position because I believed that we are selling an experience. We are not selling food on a plate necessarily. It's people come to us, they go see a Broadway show one night, and one night they eat at 11 Madison Park. And so if it's truly about an experience, then does it really matter what is on the plate, if it's delicious and if it tells a story? And my opinion was it didn't matter, and therefore this actually can work. And if it can work for us, then maybe down the line it can work for others. Because I think that the conversation and the feeling about value really needs to change. I think we're not valuing vegetables in the same way as we do proteins, and that is wrong.
That's
and
interesting.
I hope that conversation can change and people start to understand that there's so much value in vegetables, and so therefore people are willing to pay for it. I thought a lot about the car industry, and I thought about the Toyota Prius, and I thought about the Tesla, and I thought about, Toyota Prius was the first hybrid car that came out 25 years ago, groundbreaking, way ahead of its time, and it's still around, and it's incredible. But it's not the most sexy car, and I don't think Toyota Prius could have changed the world like Tesla did. I think when Tesla came to be, it was about creating an amazing car that happens to be electric. I think it wasn't so much about only being electric. It was just like a contemporary car, of course, is electric. So it's like a contemporary restaurant is not using meat. It's just about being a great restaurant. And I think if we can change how we value things, then I think this can open a lot of doors that are really important. I had no idea, like the nerve you're talking about. I realized that that's what happened, but I was overwhelmed by how people reacted to this news. As for me, it was just trying to find a creative solution to show a different way. But it became, very polarizing and political, and I am not equipped with all of that. I'm just a chef that knows how to cook, that has experienced the food system through what arrives at our back door on a daily basis. Not much more than that. But I do know, even in that very limited window, it has changed dramatically. Like what's been arriving over the last 30 years has changed. Certain things are no longer available. Things used to be wild and now they're farm raised. Things come from different places than they used to come. And they don't taste the same. So if my job is to really find the best ingredients that I can really stand behind it, I think in a way I did have to speak up somehow, and I'm guilty. I should have done this a long time ago in a way, because things have been changing for a long time.
Yeah.
The pandemic gave me this window of stepping back and think about my life and think about what makes me happy. And I think using food as a language was one of those. And
got it. Thanks for watching and listening to Beyond the Plate. We hope you enjoyed a little taste of this episode. If you'd like to hear this podcast episode in its entirety, you can do so on all major podcast platforms. I'm Cappy, and remember, there are never too many cooks in the kitchen.